Gabi Asare Ochridako for criticizing her.
I don't have time for things like that. People like that are not important to me or to my life. It's a disturbance. Gabi Ochridako can call me paranoid. I don't care.
Government's goal for oil policy comes under scrutiny once again amid calls this time to seek parliamentary approval for the transaction, but the Ministry of Energy has shut down the suggestion.
My understanding is that Bost has placed some orders, more volumes, I believe, in the region of some 120 metric tons.
We've got details of all these plus many more coming up in the next 30 minutes. My name is Paa Kwesi Asare. Let's begin with our very first story, and government has assured all bondholders who did not participate in the recently rolled out domestic debt exchange program that their coupons and maturing principals will be paid. It said the payments will be honored in line with government's fiscal commitments like for all other government bonds. The assurance was given after the program was brought to a closure on Friday, February 10, amid protests from some individual bondholders seeking exemption. But government announced on Tuesday, February 14, that over 80% of bondholders voluntarily signed up to the program. Expressing gratitude to all those bondholders, government said it has pushed the country closer to securing a bailout from the International Monetary Fund. My colleague Grace Hamwa Ajiman has been studying the statement from the Finance Ministry and joins me in the studio. Grace, good afternoon to you. What more have you been studying from this report?
So, PK, we know that the statement came quite early this morning, assuring people who did not take part in the program that their dividends or whatever is owed them is going to pay. Government was very emphatic that the program has always been voluntary participation, and so it shouldn't be out there to look like government was putting pressure on people, especially pensioners and other individual bondholders, to subscribe to the program. But if you don't want to be part of it, you can opt out, and so it's voluntary participation. Just that government over the period was making a strong appeal to bondholders to be part of the program as a way of bond and burden sharing. But it's not compulsory. If you don't want to be a part of it, you can opt out.
Another concern, Grace, is also about whether matured coupons will be honored when they fall due. What's the assurance coming from the ministry?
The ministry has assured every bondholder that their dividends are going to be paid them. Whatever is owed anybody is going to be paid them. And so if you subscribe or you didn't subscribe, they're going to be paid. You don't have any cause for concern or any issue of delay or whether they're going to be paid or you're not going to be paid. But government has set aside some government fiscal commitment that is going to be used for that purpose. And so there's assurance that money is going to come when the time is due for people to receive their money.
Thanks very much.
Yesterday there was, let me add this quickly. Right. Yesterday there was a presser from the individual bondholders telling government that yes, you have assured us you are going to be paid, but we want dates. When are we going to receive our money? Because as of February 6th, when the last bond matured, their monies were not received. And so if you've assured us, add dates so that when we know time is due, we can come back to you and say that you gave us this date. How is it going and where is our money? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Grace Yamwa Asare, with the very latest on the domestic debt exchange program. Let's quickly hop onto the phone lines. Dr. Patrick Esumid is a senior lecturer and economist at the University of Ghana Business School. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Let me just give you some updates coming in from the Finance Ministry regarding the domestic debt exchange program. They are reporting that 80% subscription has so far been achieved. This must be good news for government as far as the debt exchange program is concerned. Don't you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's good news for the government that they've managed to, in spite of all the opposition and all the reservations Ghanaians have had about it, they've managed to sign up. They've managed to meet the minimum target that they set for themselves. So definitely the Finance Ministry can be happy with the job it has done.
It took the government 2 months to secure the buy-in of domestic bondholders. Couldn't this have been done in a shorter time?
I don't know if it could have been done in a shorter time. It could definitely have been done in a different way. I think some of the, the way it's gone about the postponement and the changing of the terms is definitely because the government started on the wrong footing. And instead of having a broad-based engagement, deeper sense of engagement before putting out the initial program it put out, you get a sense that I just decided that you put something out there. So overall, in the end, it probably came around to do what it should have done and how it should have gone about it, which is to engage. But I think the whole idea about how, it's gone about this, and in some sense, engage specific groups, engage the banks separately, engage the insurance industry people separately, and then, having to deal with resistance from the bondholders individually. All parts of that contributed to the way it has gone. But it also succeeded in ensuring that Ghanaians have not been able to demand real or, force the hand of the government to make changes to its fiscal situation as much as it should have.
The next phase would be to engage with international bondholders. How should government go about it to avoid possible delays and the challenges we saw with the domestic bondholders?
Yeah, you expect that they would have learned lessons and that they will be a lot more transparent and a lot more engaging at the outset before they put terms out. That will, when it does that, it will help its own cause. So as it moves on to that phase, that's what I'm expecting. That, it won't be the back and forth that we saw with the domestic debt exchange. But that will happen if it is seen to be very transparent and also engaging with the debtors at the outset. Some of the way it has started doesn't even look good. I think you would have heard the president make a comment to a German official employing them to convince the Chinese. I mean, that doesn't look like how you should be handling this. You want to be engaging behind the scenes and convince people why they should come on board. So I hope that all of this will be how the domestic one has gone. Will be all the relevant lessons will be learned so that aspect will be smoother.
I've got to say a big thank you to you. Dr. Patrick Asuman is a senior lecturer and economist at the University of Ghana Business. Bondholders are back at the Finance Ministry on day 7 of their picketing action. This is in spite of the assurances by the Finance Ministry that all matured coupons and principals will be paid or will be made due. But the pensioners say the assurance is not enough as it insists government must exempt them. Dr. Edouard Entry is convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum.
We said from day one that if government exempted pensioners, they could still make the 80% and move ahead. So the idea that if pensioners didn't come under the program will not succeed and Ghana will suffer was not the correct position of the situation. We believe if we are not in, we could still get the 80% and move ahead. So now we have gotten the 80% and we can move ahead with the IMF program. The minister has given assurances that those who didn't tender in their bonds will be paid their coupons and principal when due. That is already an assurance that the issuer has given from day one when the issuer was issuing the bonds. No issuer issue bonds and do not promise that I will not pay. Every issuer who issues bonds, that's the first promise under the bond, that I will pay you the coupon and the principal when due. So the minister is just restating the old promise that the issuer has already given to the bondholders. If that promise was not there, nobody will ever give you his or her money. Because how can I give you money when you are not going to pay? So that promise is the original promise that the minister is giving. So that is fine that you again give this assurance.
Meanwhile, former Chief Justice Sophia Akuffo, who's returned to the Finance Ministry to picket, has clapped back at President Akufo-Addo's cousin Gabi Asare for criticizing her.
He can decide on. He doesn't decide for me what I need to do and what I do not need to do. It's as simple as that. I don't have time for things like that. People like that are not important to me or to my life. It's a disturbance. That's all I've got to say about it.
What do you say to the new directive from government, the new statement coming from government that there is an option, a voluntary option that you can sign on and get your monies paid?
But that whole program is now over, isn't it? Yes, and we chose not to sign on to it. Now, the way things are going, what I sense and what I smell is the creation of two categories of people, or two classes of people. Those who have been exempted by the hey, you two, you want me to lick it? Those who have been exempted by the issuer, I think Doctor was very clear with the distinction. Yes, and then now they are calling those who refused to sign on to the debt exchange. They're calling them self-exempted. No, they simply refused to sign. They just simply want to stand by the original bond that they have with the government. And the word bond is not used as a casual term. Bond means tied to.
My word is my bond.
Yes. And when a government's bond can be tossed up and down the tides like that, flip-flop, that's a serious thing. For me, my problem with this whole thing is the destruction of the image of this nation, and something that is being done which will last for generations. It took a long time before normal Ghanaians would even buy anything that is government, because there was always the suspicion, tomorrow you don't know what will happen. Now they are reintroducing that. All that needs to be done. And Doctor was talking about the letter, simple letter that was written by the association to the minister. Exempt us from your program. I think that's the gist. I always like to distill things to their lowest common denominator. Exempt us, we are pensioners. Up to now, I've seen a copy of the letter. It's dated 7th January. According to Doctor, it was delivered on 10th January. Up to now, there's not even a note. I'm not even saying a letter, a note of acknowledgement. And yet, a few days ago, similar letters that had been written to the minister have been responded to, whereby he has categorically exempted other groups. Why? And when I cannot fathom the reason for something being done in a particular way, especially when it's been done for others, but it's not being done for others, I start getting suspicious. I've grown to be to the age where I've seen it all, and therefore I easily become suspicious. Gabi Ochiridako can call me paranoid. I don't care. We're talking about people, we're talking about human beings, we're talking about people who have served this country.
You heard a former Chief Justice, Justice Sofia Kufu there, responding strongly to Gabi Asare Ochridako. You're still listening to Midday Live here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Paa Kwesi Asare, also streaming live on Facebook. Now, the Ministry of Energy has shot down suggestions from some quarters that it must seek parliamentary approval for the gold for oil policy. Now, under the policy, the government of Ghana through its agencies will purchase oil products with gold rather than US dollar reserves. The move is meant to tackle the dwindling foreign currencies reserves coupled with demand for dollars by oil importers, which is weakening the local cedi and increasing living costs. Now, Ghana received its first consignment of oil under the deal back in January. Speaking on TV3's New Day show, Deputy Energy Minister Andrew Ejapa disclosed that the bulk oil distribution company BOST has placed orders for more oil under the deal.
My understanding is that BOST has placed some orders, more volumes, I believe, in the region of some 120 metric tons is coming in, 120,000. Is coming in. The BOST MD is reported on one of today's newspapers as communicating that. And if you recall the statement that the NPA issued, the intention of government is to ramp up following the test volumes that came in, which was about 41,000 to 50% of the market, so that the private sector can then play in the remaining space.
There are calls, however, for government to seek parliamentary approval since transaction is in line with international standards. The main opposition, National Democratic Congress, is one of such groups making the call. Godwin Edujitamaklo is a member of the communication team of the party.
Beyond the lack of transparency, beyond the fact that, as we speak, he is a member of parliament. If you are committing government of Ghana to a transaction of this nature, provided it's an international business transaction, okay, what you do is that at least you subject it to the representatives of the people having to look at it because of the liabilities associated. Today we are being told that there are middlemen in this whole conversation. What exactly is the agreement with this middleman? In the event of a shortfall in global metal prices, who takes the liabilities? Who does it? We don't know. They have actually kept this gold for oil transaction as a national security transaction.
You have Godwin Edujitamaklo is a member of the communication team of the National Democratic Congress, but the Energy Ministry has shut down the suggestion, describing it as unnecessary. According to Deputy Energy Minister Andrew Ejapa, the gold for oil cannot be said to be an international deal.
I hear talk about international business transaction which has to go to Parliament. Why? BOST essentially operates as a BDC. It orders petroleum products from international oil traders every day. Do they go to Parliament for approval? Do they? Now I want to know.
No, they don't.
BOG provides forex for importers every day. Every day they do an auction. Do they go to Parliament for approval?
No, they don't.
Now, so what has changed?
Andrew Ejapa is Deputy Energy Minister. Now, the Savannah Regional Security Council has deployed more security into the Damango community as a 3-member inquiry committee set up by the Savannah Regional House of Chiefs readies to announce a final verdict on the Damango chieftaincy matter on Thursday, February 16. Now, ahead of this big announcement, the Savannah Regional Minister and Chairman of the RECSEC, Said Muhaza Jabril, warned the security services have been mandated to deal with any individual or group whose actions or inactions will jeopardize the peace in Damango. There's more in this report.
Since 2010, the Damango community has been battling with some chieftaincy succession disputes. Two feuding factions from the same gate, one Abu Aseura and the Budonwura, have been fighting over who should be the rightful occupant of the Damango skin. The matter was referred to the Judicial Committee of the then Northern Regional House of Chiefs for a resolution. following the creation of the Savannah region in 2019 and the subsequent inauguration of the Savannah Regional House of Chiefs. The matter was transferred to the latter, and a 3-member committee was constituted to make a determination into the matter. The committee has since completed its work and are expected to announce their verdict on Thursday, February 16. Savannah Regional Minister and Chairman of RECSEC, Said Muaz Jibril, says adequate security has been put in place.
In this particular case, what we are saying is that if the ruling doesn't go in your favor, that doesn't mean you resort to violence. No. I've said it over and over and over again. And the 10-day funeral, I made it clear that no individual or group of people should undermine the security that we have put in place. And so we are not going to spare any individual group of people who want to misbehave because the ruling has not gone their way or doesn't go their way.
I don't know if we've got Christopher live on the line. No, we don't have Christopher. We're going to be getting some latest update from Christopher on this matter, but we'll move on to other stories where the Ghana Education Service has clarified what it calls a temporary roster that would see second-year students in senior high schools return home after spending barely 5 weeks in school. Now, according to the services, the stopgap measure is as a result of inadequate infrastructure to accommodate first-year students. The Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chum-Ampofo, describes the current academic calendar as transitional as it is scheduled to accommodate 2 cohorts of students at a given time.
We indicated transitional academic calendar because we are in transition. We are moving gradually out of the double track system. The second years that you are talking about are rather leaving on the 17th. And then they would create space for the first years to also come in. At a point, they would also leave, and then another group would also come. And so that is how we do not have all the 3 levels, because of space, we do not have all the 3 levels on the campus at the same time.
The first-year students are expected to report on February 20, 2023, but the placement of BEC graduates is yet to be done. However, Cassandra Chum has assured the placement will be done soon.
Hopefully, we are looking at this week. Definitely, we would announce when the placement is ready. For preparations, we know that once you complete BEC, we know parents are eager, and once the awards complete, they start the preparations.
Cassandra Chum is Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service. You're still watching the Midday News here on 3FM 92.7. Let's just quickly recap some of our top headline stories this hour. Government announces 80% subscription rate for its domestic debt exchange program and assures bondholders of prompt payment of maturing coupons and principals. Meanwhile, pensioner bondholders, including the former Chief Justice of Akufu, continue to picket at the Finance Ministry as she claps back at the president's cousin, Gabi Asare for criticizing her. And government's gold for oil policy comes under scrutiny once again amid calls this time to seek parliamentary approval for the transaction. But the Ministry of Energy has shut down this suggestion.
found love in you.